today the big day for Max, or is there still more work to come for him?
It's one day in his week. Every day for everyone's important. So Max has got some processes he still has to go through, but my understanding is today's not any more important than tomorrow or Friday. So he just has to progress well today, and we'll just keep assessing it day on day as they have been so far.
Do you think that the likelihood is he'll be named in the team, and then we'll probably have to prove his fitness, say, on Friday?
Yeah, probably. I think, with an extended squad, you can, make sense to name him in there. So, and we're of the belief we want to give everyone every chance to be at their best, and Max just is included in that.
Can you completely rule out the strain? There is no nick in it. It's nerve-related, full stop. And if that settles down, he is fit to play. Is that where it's at?
Yeah, I don't want to, sort of get into what it can and can't be, because the reality is I don't really know. I just sort of get involved in what he needs to do at training. So the questions like that are probably a bit over my head, to be honest. But, my focus is just on Max and making sure he's got everything he's need to get through the week.
What does he actually need to do to bring his fitness? Like, does he have to take part in full match sim? What does he have to actually do?
Well, he's got to just keep progressing, really. How that looks day to day can be a little bit different depending on how he feels in the morning. But we just want him to keep getting better every day, and things like his ability to move and his speed and kicking are obviously fundamental parts of the game. But for Max, we just want him to keep improving. We want him to be better this morning than he was yesterday, which so far he's been getting better every day.
Do you take a risk on him, say, if he's 80%, or does he have to be at 100% given it is a grand final?
Well, we'll just have to wait and see how he is. It's hard to sort of judge percentages, and how a lot of it will come down to how he feels, and if he feels like he can play a full game and produce on the game day, we'll sort of be guided by that, as well as the medical team that we've got, which we've got a lot of confidence in.
How's he coping with it at the moment?
He's pretty good. He's pretty up and about. I think it's a distraction, but it's sort of maybe a bit of a welcome distraction for him. He's really focused. He knows what he needs to do. He comes in every morning and just prepares and gets out and focuses on that day, which I think is probably a good thing for a young kid. Just give him something to do every day, and he just knocks that off and recovers and goes home and rests up. So I spoke to him last night, and he was in a pretty good mood and feeling good.
There's been some famous fitness tests over the years. Steve Johnson won with the knee, and one of the assistant coaches, Nigel Lappin, with the ribs. Are you anticipating it could be that late? It could be a morning of the gamer or Friday after the parade? Yeah,
we just have to wait and see, really. We do have to train after the parade on Friday, but different sort of injuries, joint injuries and rib injuries, a little bit different to muscle injuries. So, we'll just wait and see. Take that as it comes after today.
And sorry to ham you, Cal. So clearly it's not a garden variety ham. If there was a nick, he's not playing. That's 21 days. So there's a little bit of pain there, but there's obviously a feeling that it can be managed, and he's not a risk.
Yeah, well, the clinical signs for Max have been really positive right after the game. So, the incident itself looked worse than what it was. So, straight away they took him down into the rooms and had a bit of a look at him, and the message come back up to the box that it really wasn't a traditional sort of, or what it looked like at least. So, right from then, the messaging to us as coaches has been really positive about Max's prospects.
Have you, as a coaching group, made a decision or come to a realisation who would take his spot if he doesn't get up? Have you made that decision yet?
Well, we talk about that sort of stuff constantly, really, and those sort of things are, at this stage, they're, a little bit hypothetical. We want to be in the mindset of giving Max every chance to play, but having said that, we do go through the process of, who we want to bring in, what we want the team to look like, what the best balance of the team is to play Sydney, and we're just sort of constantly working through that as best we can.
Will you give us a hint of where those working through stand?
No. Sorry, but no.
That's fair enough.
Now, when you walked back in the club, best part of 12 months ago, could you ever envisage that this is where the club would sit?
Yeah, I did, to be honest. I thought that this group and this footy club is really capable of anything. So, my role coming back in was just to be a part of the environment again and contribute as best I could. And being in here for a short period of time, pre-Christmas, I sort of had a really good feeling about the way the players were training and the way they were learning new things, and the discipline and the feel of the footy club gave me confidence that we're capable of achieving anything.
Who's the individual? Whose evolution have you taken great pride in over the last 12 months as a player?
Probably everyone's really. I think the journey that the whole group's been on throughout the year has been a really good one. There's obvious ones like Tyson and DK and Zach Guthrie and guys like that, and even Blitz playing a relatively new role for him, and things like that have been good stories. But I think it just builds to the story of the whole group, and the way the footy club's just continually evolved. And the footy we're playing now is different to the footy we were playing at the start of the year, as different as it was in the middle of the year. So the evolution of the group has been the real story for me, and just being able to be a part of it has been really nice.
Does the week bring back good memories for you? Do you get a chance to reflect on what you did as a player when you get to grand final week and go, gee, I remember how much fun it was building up to playing in the
Yeah, it's a great feeling. It's great for everyone at the footy club just to be a part of it. And the beautiful thing about Geelong as a town is you're driving around and there's Cats flags and scarves hanging out windows, and there's Cats posters on shop windows, and that's the real strength of this town and this footy club is, when the town goes well, the whole club and the whole town feels it. They feel great. So being a part of that, just as a Geelong person, is wonderful.
James, what have you learned personally over the last 12 months under Chris?
That's a great question. A lot, really. My last experience of working with Scotty was as a player, and as a coach with him now, you do learn a lot. I think you get, one thing I've got is a lot more context of how Scotty was when I was a player, and you understand more of the method behind his decisions. And when you're a player, the reality of it is it's a really selfish existence. If you're going to be a good player and you're going to live that life, it is a selfish existence, and sometimes you don't understand some things that happen and the way the game unfolds. And working with Scotty now, you have an enormous amount of context in the method of why he does things and how he goes through processes. And it's he's a really constant, elaborate thinker on all things in the game, which is why he's so successful.
Are you ready to take the next step in your coaching career? There's a vacant job going at Essendon at the moment.
No, I enjoyed my time at Essendon, but I'm very, very comfortable here.
Have you noticed any differences between Chris in 2011 leading into a flag, with a really experienced group, to the Chris that you see now?
Not really, to be honest. They're remarkably similar, the two Chris's. Like I said, he's still a really deep thinker on the game. He's still really easy to communicate with. He challenges the players at the right times. He's very articulate. He gets his point across really well. All of those things are just really similar, and it's my role as an assistant coach just to support him as best I can in that. And it was my role as a senior player back then to support him back then. So it is eerily similar, but I think that's the strength of Scotty, is he just doesn't change who he is. He just comes in and coaches, and he's he's as much about his life outside of footy as he is inside of it.
With the Swans against big teams and finals teams have been really successful. They won the last 7, including finals and then the back part of the year. What about their game style makes it stand up so well in big games?
Well, they've got some really talented players, and their system's really sound. They've played that way for a really long time. They've evolved a little bit, but the fundamentals of Sydney's game have always stacked up. They're really good defensively. They're good around the ball. They're really powerful, and they can move the ball well when they want to. So those things make you hard to play against any opposition, and they get those fundamentals right. They are a really hard team to beat.
Have you got found a chink in the armour?
There's always a chink.
Since Reid puts in doubt, similar to Max Holmes, I guess. So from the Geelong point of view, preparing for him to play, you just go through and expect him to run out there, and if that changes, then you'll adjust to that.
I think best practice to prepare for the best players to play and be pleasantly surprised if they don't. So I imagine the mindset of Sydney is they're giving him every chance to get up, as we would. So we'll plan for that and have plans on plans if it doesn't work out, and that sort of ties into all the sort of selection stuff. Do we shift the team completely if they're one tall down, or who they bring in if they bring in a small? So that's just a constant conversation and process with the coaches.
And that probably wouldn't have any reflection on your selection in the team. You'll just adjust to accordingly on the day.
Yeah, well, it depends when they make that call. When they make that call or when we find out, we'll just sort of evolve as that comes.
I suspect they would do a lot of the line plays with her, and this one aren't known for being experimental.
It's hard to say. He is really important to their structure, and if they could get someone to play the role that he plays in a really similar fashion, that would make sense to me. But I'm not up there, so it's a little hard for me to talk about. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I'm not sure. That would be my best guess. Maybe yes.
There's going to be heat in the first 10 minutes of a grand final, no matter who's playing. But Sydney's pressure in first quarter has been off the charts the past couple of months. So, are you confident you're ready for that? Can you be ready for that kind of pressure and heat?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely. I like to think our pressure's pretty good too. So, it's two grand final teams. They're going to be going toe to toe and hammer and tongs around the ball early. So, we feel really confident that whatever happens in the game, our players are in the right mindset and they're capable of doing what they need to do.
What does it take to get through that kind of pressure and heat to get the ball going your way and settle into your game?
I think the best way is just to keep it simple. I think a lot of the time for coaches, the best thing to do is just to step back a bit and stay out of the way. We don't want to be complicating the game early on and giving them different things to do and different things to think about. We want them to settle as best they can, start well, and just go out and be themselves and do what they do and do what they've proven to be able to do for a long period of time this year.
Cal, are there any lessons you can draw on from, I know it's a long time ago, from 08, when you went in hot favourites in great form and got cleaned up by a young side that kind of felt like they had a bit of a free hit, and there's been some comparisons made. Is there anything you can draw from, even emotionally, from that psychological?
Yeah, I think maybe just what I was talking about before is just, as coaches, staying out of the way a little bit, not sort of sending them too far down the line. And if the game looks like this, we're going to do this. If the game looks like that, we're going to do that. Maybe just settle everyone down and just focus on the early part of the game. Thinking back about that final is, it's not really apples and apples, to be honest. But what you do learn just from the experience of being in finals is the teams that focus well early and settle early generally start the game well. So we don't want to be getting in the players' way. We just want to be, filling them with confidence and letting them do what they do.
And just on their youth, is it a little bit even up in the air as how you plan for it? That they could get overawed, these kids, but they could play with a freedom that can be really dangerous.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about having young players in your team, and that's happened with us with young players we've played this year, and they do bring they don't know how to lose. So they just go out there, they love footy, they play and they play hard, and that's the great strength of young players. So we'll just wait and see. We don't know, so we'll prepare for them to be at their absolute best.
You mentioned about settling everyone down. How are you feeling? What's the comparison between being a playing grand final week and now as a coach?
Yeah, well, no one really cares, really, when you're a coach. That's probably a bit wrong, but yeah, thanks, appreciate that. No, it's like there's probably less noise as a coach, to be honest, and you're just kind of guiding the players through, and that's sort of your focus. People don't want tickets, they don't want signed jumpers and all that sort of stuff, tickets to after parties. So as a coach, you just kind of let the week flow through. And when I was playing, I didn't have two young kids. I've got young kids now, and they don't really care that much about footy. So it's sort of my focus is on just the week really and getting through it.